Another snowy end of January day when most people would not be thinking about gardens whatsoever. But we are. We kind of wanted to go over something about saving certain types of vegetables that can make it a little more accessible to you. And basically that's the fact that not everything you don't have to save all your seeds or collect all your seeds.
Right at harvest.
Right at harvest. So there are several varieties of vegetable, and we're going to go over 3 here, that you can actually come back to later, which is kind of nice because when you have periods of time like midwinter when you're not necessarily gardening as much, you can spend the time to go through and actually collect your seeds. So first on our 3 things that we're saving seeds or taking seeds out of right now is what I'm doing, which is our yellow crooked neck squash. So yellow crooked neck is a summer squash, and one of the things with this particular kind of squash is to actually get viable seeds out of it, you've got to let it go well past the point at which you would want to eat it. And I've got one here. When I mean well past, it can go quite well past.
It's too bad we get it. That is basically hollow. It's really light.
Mm-hmm. Like when I'm going through this one that I've already cracked open, all the seeds are in fantastic shape. And this is no different than collecting pumpkin seeds or taking pumpkin seeds out to cook. It's the exact same principle, except you're taking it out of a summer squash. But it's just a great example of you wouldn't eat this. It's gone well past the tender stage. But these were collected in September from the garden.
October, yeah.
End of September, beginning of October. And we just put them downstairs where it's cool. That is kind of one key. You wouldn't want to leave it in a hot kitchen or something. It would really go bad quickly. We just put it where it was cool, and they continued to ripen. Now, they came off the plant quite hard. One thing, as an aside to the actual seed saving exercise here, that we're noticing in the past, this is Cubra pepo, is all the summer squashes. And they hand pollinate not badly, but in the past when we've hand pollinated them, and we've often found that some of the seeds don't come out perfect, like they haven't been pollinated well.
They aren't bulbous, they're more flat.
You can't really probably see that too well, but a good squash seed is usually quite thick. Oftentimes, and I haven't even found one yet, they're very flat if they haven't been sort of pollinated properly. We kind of made the decision in our planning this year, and I think we've mentioned this before, to only keep one variety of Cubra pepo so that we didn't have to worry about hand pollinating, and we're basically rewarded with literally thousands of seeds from these plants.
For somebody watching that maybe doesn't know, what classifies as that variety, the Cubo, whatever you just said?
It's all the summer squashes are a part of that. The zucchinis, the patty pans.
Pumpkin?
About 50% of the pumpkins. You do have to know what kind of pumpkin it is. Oftentimes, as long as you know what the name of the variety is you're growing, you can look it up online and you'll be able to find sort of which of the 4 species it belongs to.
What are you getting roughly out of? That's your second one that you've opened. You must be getting close to 100 seeds out of each one.
This is a squash I opened up the other day. We just put them on a paper towel and let them dry out, and then I'll kind of ruck that up a little bit, and so if any of them are stuck together, they come apart. And then we'll just we'll store it after that. So it's a very, very easy process to pull these out and save.
Another seed that we are saving today is our sweet basil. We grow a lot of basil. We use it a lot in canning and cooking, and it's definitely an essential around here. We only grow the one kind. That way we don't need to worry about crossing or anything like that. Basically, I've got a bunch already here, but all you're doing is taking the seed tops off. We harvested this and then I cut the tops off, and we still used all the greens to dry for winter basil to use. But the seed tops here, once they've gone to flower, you get a whole bunch of little ones, and basil is a little bit tedious. Basically, I put it between my 2 fingers and kind of roll it, and the seeds kind of fall out. And then you're going to end up with a little bit of whatever the pod type stuff, this shell or
chaff or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's exactly.
The non-seed stuff.
The non-seed stuff, which I then just kind of brush off to the side. And I just kind of move my good black seeds over.
As long as you've got somewhere that it can sit and just be out of the way and not get messed around the house, you can let that basil sit in those dried seed pods for a very long time before
Yeah, I mean, we harvested
this.
it was before our first frost, so it must have been in September. And it's kind of just been kicking around. This is great thing about our Canadian Seed Challenge is that it's given us the kick to get a few of those last things done that we hadn't saved our seeds on yet. So
before the garden season starts again.
yeah, and considering it's almost time to start basil again, because I like to have it right in the spring, we're cutting her close.
So the next one on the list is a bit of an odd one that you wouldn't think about doing late in the season, but this is our ping tongue eggplants. So kind of a reoccurring theme here with the three types of vegetables / herbs that we're saving seeds from today. All of them are harvested, or the part that you're harvesting is sort of harvested past its prime as edible. The basil, you can still eat the leaves, but you don't eat the flower heads. So this particular eggplant here, as you can see, this was again harvested the end of September. It was already mature at that point, and we put it in the basement. It does not look particularly edible, but that's okay because you want it to be past its prime to have decent seeds in it.
This could be gross. We're going to just split her down the middle. Oh, it's beautifully full of seeds. Look at that.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good. Looking really good, actually. We're kind of new to saving eggplant seeds. So this is a bit of an experiment for us, unlike the other two things that we've saved quite a few times. Eggplant is kind of like squash in that it's hard, and I'll put the separation distance up here, but it's hard to keep more than one kind. So we sort of spent a bit of time trying to find an eggplant that we really liked. We've really enjoyed them this year. They're prolific, they're simple, and they're very versatile in what you can do with them at the end. So we basically only grew the one variety, and we're going to give it a go at saving our own seeds. We did buy some seeds to sort of mix in here as well, but
I don't know how many I should actually try and take out of
well,
here. There is a lot of seeds.
Get what we can. They're a good variety. A lot of them look like they've already separated from the pulp, which is good. But this again goes back to that's what it came from. It was one of the nicer eggplants on the plants outside, and we let it go well past its prime on purpose, and brought it in when we kind of had to because of the threat of frost, and then it's kind of sort of just sat since.
This is actually way easier than I anticipated.
That's good.
It's always nice when you find something to save seeds from that isn't a huge process. These are amazing. I will say one thing for me is I don't like the big bulbous eggplants. I never have. Love these. These are fantastic. They stay nice and firm. They make great sliced, grilled eggplant. You don't get that whole seedy middle. That is one of the things with the ping tongue. You need to let it go well past when you would eat it, because all the ones that we harvested for eating ourselves, you could barely even see the seeds. They're
not a prolific seed producer.
Yeah, so that is one reason I really like this, is you don't get that soft center when you cook it.
And they don't have the bitterness that some do.
Well, that's because they don't. The seeds are the part that usually is bitter tasting. Mm-hmm. And because the seeds don't develop till so much later in these ones, I think that's probably part of the reason why they tasted so amazing. So I guess now we've got so many eggplant seeds, if anybody needs those, we're good to go there too.
Well, that's just kind of a super brief look at another aspect of seed saving. Again, it's not glamorous. It's not all that exciting, etc. But it is sort of, if you want to save seeds, you need to know how to process them. And the little trick here is it's nice to learn which varieties of vegetables you can kind of hold off on, because we all know that when you're gardening, when the harvest tends to come quick. So if you can get away with sort of holding off on processing a few of your vegetable seeds and herb seeds until later in the winter when you don't have as much going on, that's an awesome little trick. We've basically kind of gone through, obviously, summer squash. Winter squash, you can do the same. A lot of the herbs are similar. We have dill that's still hanging as well. It's the same thing, whether you're going to process it to save seeds or process it for the dill seeds. Dry beans are a great one. You just need to keep them dry, and then when you get around to taking them out of the shells, you can do that at any point in time. A little trick on the eggplant, as we mentioned, was definitely keep it in a cool location, which is the same as the summer squash. If you're gonna hold off on saving the seeds, basically treat those squash that you've, whether it's the crooked neck or zucchini or whatever, that you're holding on to, treat them like you would a winter squash. Keep them under similar storage condition. And I mean, we could have probably waited longer if we wanted to. Not that there's much benefit to that. But anyways, hopefully you find this a little bit informative. And although it seems a little backwards as we are approaching the gardening season, we're kind of hoping that this plants the seed of thinking about saving seeds, because it doesn't have to be an onerous task, but it does require a little bit of thinking and planning on top of your regular garden planning and thinking to make it work well. So on that note, we're going to leave it there and keep processing and taking out some more seeds.